The sound of our cities is changing. Yara Mekawei has always had a passion for recording the sounds around her. An artist, scholar, electric musician, and producer of Radio Submarine, she draws inspiration from the dynamic flow of urban centres and the infrastructure of cities. Artists' Ideas Now talks to artists about the most pressing questions of today. This 8-part series is talking to artists from Egypt and of Egyptian heritage about climate, crisis, environment, protest and change. My name is Laura Marie Brown and I'm creative producer at Liverpool Arab Arts Festival and host of this series. The music you hear on this series is Yara's, a Cairo-born and Berlin-based sound artist and electronic music composer. Feed on Wasted Energy is from her 2018 LP, 1963. Based on field recordings in and around the pyramids in Cairo, it allows us to focus on how sound recordings and capturing the sounds of the city can be part of that documentation of change, tracking how the climate crisis is impacting on the built environment and how the sound of our world is changing over time. We'll hear this piece in full, but first I spoke to Yara about her passion for sound recording.
I'm coming from a visual background, not only via my education and as I do visual art education, and I have also my father is a photographer, but I was felt myself since I was actually in the high school that I can listen and I can use my ears more. Eyes, and I have like a sound memory more than a visual memory actually. And I found myself digging in the city to catch the sound, catch these transparent waves. In the whole journey of the journey of listening and the journey of composing the electronic music and the sound art, I get in touch with a different aspect to see the sound and to manipulate the records that I did from the city, from the body, and also from the books. So it is. For me, it is the most interested, amazing journey in my life that I do work on sound in a different aspects. I use the sound as a medium to present myself to express myself. So yeah, it is everything about sound. The sound of the city, the sound of the body, the sound of the buildings, the sound of the books, the sound of the history.
No, that sounds really interesting because I think that sense of how we capture cities and the changing nature of cities is such a huge aspect of how we're talking about how we recognize the changing impact that the climate crisis is having on people when we see it in the built environment around us. I was having a conversation with one artist and they said, the thing you always have to remember about Cairo is, the pyramids weren't always in the desert. And I think that's that sense of how the city is changing around us, the built environment. We never think of that as being tied to the climate crisis. How does that feed into the sound recordings that you're making of how you're capturing changing cities?
This is really interesting questions because, as I mentioned, mostly my work is field records, based on field records. And I did record starting from the point that I was recording with a cassette tape. I'm coming from a really old town in Old Cairo, which is famous with a multicultural, multi-religious, a really nice district. And it used to be actually a busy since I born there years ago, where actually it's a changed, and it changed the environment not only in my neighborhood but also in the whole country, actually. At the time that you can find some um, minimal sound, because there is no silence, as I do believe, or you can just escape from this white noise of the residential areas and the downtown and the shops and the cafe. As much as now it is quite hard to escape from the noise or to escape from this white noise. You know what I mean? I can speak about only Cairo, actually, because I do grow up and see the city since years. Like the way also they building the new compounds and they rechange the infrastructure of the city. It's it's more way they amplifying the noise as well. You know what I mean? So even the buildings and the way of infrastructure and restructuring the city, it is on other way, it is amplifying the sound of the noise, giving some reverb and echo dimensions for the real noise of the city.
That's so fascinating. I've never thought about that, of like how, the different materials we use. You know,
Yeah.
if we're not using sound absorbers on the exterior of buildings, if we're using more cladding or whatever, it's allowing the sound to just bounce back.
Yeah, because actually, at some other, let's say, transport stations, like bus stations, not only in Cairo but some in Europe as well, acoustically they build the stations and the platforms to amplify the bus alarm, and the bus stop, not like sound, to amplify the sound for the passengers and the people who are taking the transportation. As much as now, actually, they didn't recognize this is should to be a study before they building the stations, or a study before they building the buildings around. So they don't have that much studies like acoustically, the acoustic architecture study, but they do it without any kind of references that this material and this concrete, it's amplifying the noise of the city.
We're going to play one of your pieces, Feed on Wasted Energy. Tell us a little bit about this. What's the story behind it?
It's the piece that I produced on this LB 4 years ago, where I do record different like spots in the city where it used to be around the pyramids, which used to be actually a desert or a highway. But in a really, really short time, less than 6 months, they transfer the whole ring road and the highway to a new residential compound, which the soundscape, it is totally changed. So I had record in a regular Monday working days. So in each day they have a different sound of the machines where they building, like which they building the compounds, because they have a really fast process of building the compounds. Yeah. So it is about my field records of these new compounds around the pyramid since that time, 4 years ago.
فلما يحصل قرب يبقى العبد قريب والله قريب. قال له أنت الحبيب، يعني أنا بحبك. ولكني أعوذ به من أن أكون حبيبا غير محبوب. لما يكون انت بتحب واحد وما انتش وانت مش محبوب عندك يبقى بلوى ولا لا؟ شيل ال وحط مين؟ الذي. تبقى الذي صوفي. صوفي من مين؟ صافى الله فصافاه الله فأصبح صوفيا. صوفيا من الله. يبقى حبيب ومحبوب. حبيب ومحبوب.
Artists' Ideas Now is produced by Liverpool Arab Arts Festival in collaboration with Artists on the Front Line. This series was supported by The Space and Arts Council England, with funding from the National Lottery. The producers are Laura Marie Brown and Zoe Lafferty. Executive producer is Sarah Fortescue. The series music is by Yara Mekawei and is called Feed on Wasted Energy from her LP 1963. For more information on this series and to find out more about each of the artists featured, go to arabartsfestival.com and explore the reading list for each episode.